So I think in future installments, Woodstock is going to have a very large role to play, and once that begins to materialize, we are all going to have to express great concern for the safety of Woodstock, because I do believe when it's all said and done that Snoopy is going to eat Woodstock. I think that will be the culmination of a multiple decade long plan for him to do that. But before I can fully get into that, we're going to have to discuss who Snoopy is as a character, because Snoopy is not who you think he is. That's a facade. He's not just an innocent dog. He is a wizard. He is a wizard, and there are multiple decades of irregular patterns of behavior that cannot be explained any other way. So, on April 20th, 1981, April 28th, there was an episode called It's Magic, Charlie Brown, in which Snoopy goes to a public library and he finds a book on magic. After just skimming it over the course of one afternoon, Snoopy effortlessly performs highly complicated spells. He, in front of an entire audience, casts Wingardium Leviosa on Lucy and causes her to levitate. He then casts a disillusion charm on Charlie Brown, causing him to be invisible for the entire duration of the episode. He is unaccounted for on the date of April 28th, 1981. These are not spells that you can just learn over the course of one afternoon reading a book that you would find in a public library. No, this would require a dedicated curriculum at a school for witchcraft and wizardry, which is where Snoopy got his education. He did not learn magic for one episode. He knew magic. He knew how to do this. And Snoopy is highly reckless with his magical ability, because he performs magic in front of non-magical people, which, as we all know, is a huge violation of the Statute of Secrecy, and it's a wonder that the Ministry of Magic didn't throw him in Azkaban, because he routinely does this. But not only that, I think that everyone in the Charlie Brown lore knows that Snoopy is a wizard, and has been for a long time, a highly disciplined wizard, because none of them really bat an eye to the fact that he can do this. They are only upset by it because it inconveniences them. It inconveniences Lucy to levitate because Snoopy caused her to fall on the ground. It inconvenienced Charlie Brown because he was invisible, which in turn inconvenienced Lucy because she couldn't do the football prank because Charlie Brown would just kick it instead of falling down. It was an inconvenience to them, and that's why they were upset. They weren't upset that he could just do magic, because he routinely does it. On November 20th, 1973, the Thanksgiving episode, Snoopy very obviously casts a disillusion charm onto a lawn chair and begins to fight it. That is the only plausible explanation for that happening. He is highly reckless and very much dangerous with his magical ability. Now, going back to the episode in 1981, Snoopy torments Woodstock with his magical ability, shrinking his feet, enlarging his head, causing Woodstock to disappear. This is complicated magic. You would not learn this from a book. And not only that, but it is revealed in that episode that he has a basement in his doghouse, which he would have to hide with a number of enchantments. But in his basement, he has an entire station for potions. He would not have just learned potions in a book of magic tricks. He would have had to have learned that at a school like Hogwarts. Now, there are multiple other instances of Snoopy exhibiting irregular patterns of behavior and mannerisms. And this is where Woodstock comes to play. So, Woodstock as a character, cannot be communicated with by any other character in the story other than Snoopy. There is no other species that can understand his chirps aside from Snoopy. That's pretty strange, isn't it? No, it's not, because it is common for wizards who know how to transfigure into animals. That is a common trait to pick up, but no one else can communicate with Woodstock. And I know a lot of people think that Woodstock only exists in Snoopy's imagination. That's false. Like, girl, whatever. No. Woodstock is not a figment of Snoopy's imagination. Other characters have acknowledged Woodstock's existence. But since Woodstock isn't pertinent to the story, at least not right now, they are, for the most part, indifferent. But there are other variations of Woodstock that Woodstock can interact with. He has like an entire family. There's a couple of purple Woodstocks. But aside from them, Snoopy is the only character who can interact with him. Is there a coincidence there? There's not. There simply isn't. So you might be wondering, why hasn't Woodstock escaped? Because Woodstock can't escape. Woodstock can't fly. He can't. What kind of bird can't fly? A bird who has been cursed by a wizard who recklessly demonstrates magic, like Snoopy. Snoopy cursed Woodstock so he can't fly away. It's all very sad, but it makes a lot more sense once you begin to recontextualize the story in that manner. That's just how it is. Now, on November 20th, 1973, Snoopy prepared a turkey for Woodstock and himself. All the other characters had left to go to Charlie Brown's grandmother's house. They all left. Snoopy prepares a turkey, a bird, for Woodstock to eat. That is ridiculous. A ridiculous thing to do. That's a ridiculous meal for a bird, but Snoopy did that to assert dominance, and it establishes one of two things. That Woodstock can't escape, because if he could, he wouldn't have eaten that turkey, and that Snoopy has a craving for birds. This is canon. Why else would a dog hang out with a bird if not to eat it later? And the saddest part about it is that I believe that Woodstock is a lot smarter than people give him credit for. I think he knows all of this, but the fact that he can't escape has given him a form of Stockholm Syndrome. So he just goes along with it. That, and the fact that Woodstock's perpetual quest throughout the franchise is to find his parents, which has never been done. He can't do it. So he probably feels at this point, whatever happens, happens. It's all so bleak. It's all so very bleak. But I think time is on Woodstock's side, because when Charlie Brown debuted in 1950, he was stated to be 4 years old. In 1979, he was stated to be 8 years old. So that means over the course of 29 years, Charlie Brown, in the context of the story, only 4 years have passed. So I think Snoopy's got a little longer in his lifespan. and that might save Woodstock a little bit, but not a lot. Not a lot. But it's really unfortunate because there's no one that's going to save Woodstock from this inevitability. The characters are indifferent to its existence. The Ministry of Magic has shown that they're not going to intervene because it's clear the characters don't care that Snoopy knows magic. So they're not going to intervene. They're not going to throw him in Azkaban for his reckless displays of magic in public. It's just not going to happen. And say what you want, but that's pretty upsetting. Well, all we can do right now is hope for the best, for Woodstock's sake. Because from where we're at right now, it looks pretty bleak.